You graduated, you got the job, you made the money, you hit the goal, and then nothing. That quiet emptiness that shows up right after you get the thing you worked 5 years for. That's not a you problem. Harvard's most popular professor studied this for 30 years. His name is Tal Ben-Shahar. He won the Israeli National Squash Championship at 16. The night of the victory, sitting alone in his room after the celebration, he felt nothing. That one moment sent him on a lifelong search for a real answer to the question everyone is actually asking, but nobody is studying. How do you build a life that makes you genuinely happy, not just successful? Today we break down his book, Happier. This is the course that 855 students enrolled in at Harvard, making it the single most popular class at the university. Let's get into it. The first core idea: the 4 types of people. Ben-Shahar was standing in a burger restaurant after his championship win. He'd been eating clean for a month. Now he was staring at 4 hamburgers. And he realized those 4 burgers described 4 completely different ways of living a human life. Burger number 1, the rat racer. Tastes terrible now, healthy later. This is the person who says, "I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I graduate, when I retire." They delay all pleasure for future reward. They grind through years of misery, convinced the destination justifies the journey. The problem? When they arrive, they feel nothing. And then they find a new destination to suffer toward. Most high achievers live here. Burger number 2, the hedonist. Tastes amazing now, terrible for you later. This person chases pleasure and avoids pain at all costs. The party, the shortcut, the escape. They feel good in the moment, but without meaning or future benefit, the feeling is hollow, and it wears off faster each time. Burger number 3, the nihilist. Terrible now, terrible later. This is someone who has given up. They don't enjoy the present, and they've stopped believing the future can be any different. Ben-Shahar says this is often the destination of the rat racer who ran for decades and arrived at nothing. Burger number 4, the happy person. Tastes good now, good for you later. This is the only person who is actually building a life, not just surviving it. They find work, relationships, and activities that are both enjoyable in the present and meaningful for the future. This is the model. Not optimism, not positive thinking, not pretending. It's finding the things that give you pleasure and meaning simultaneously, and structuring your life around them. The second core idea: happiness is not a feeling, it's a measurement. Most people think happiness is an emotion, something you feel or don't feel. Ben-Shahar redefines it completely. His definition? Happiness is the overall experience of pleasure and meaning across your life. Not a peak, not a moment, not a result, a pattern. 2 words do all the work here: pleasure and meaning. Pleasure. This is the present, the positive emotion you feel right now, the joy, the engagement, the fun. Without pleasure, you're the rat racer, always grinding, never arriving. Meaning. This is the future, the sense that what you're doing matters, to you, to others, to something larger. Without meaning, you're the hedonist, chasing sensations with no foundation beneath them. The happy life balances both. And the beautiful part of this framework is that it makes happiness measurable. You can look at any area of your life, work, relationships, health, and ask 2 questions. Am I enjoying this right now? And does it serve something I care about for the future? If both answers are yes, you're in the happiness zone. If either answer is no, you have a specific problem to fix. Ben-Shahar also makes one critical point that most self-help books skip entirely. Happiness doesn't mean no negative emotions. He calls it permission to be human. Fear, sadness, frustration, These are not signs you're failing at happiness. They're part of a full, meaningful life. The person trying to eliminate all negative emotion is not becoming happier. They're becoming numb. The third core idea: happiness is the ultimate currency. There's a teacher in Chicago named Marva Collins. In 1975, she opened a school in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the city. Kids who had been labeled unteachable. Kids that other schools had given up on. By fourth grade, they were reading Shakespeare. 2 American presidents offered her the position of Secretary of Education. She turned them both down. Why? Because she said being in that classroom made her the richest woman in the world. Ben-Shahar uses her story to illustrate a simple but radical idea. Happiness is the ultimate currency. Everything else, money, fame, power, status, is a means to an end. And that end is always happiness. He draws the analogy from business. Just like a company measures its worth in money, a person should measure their worth in happiness. Every decision, career, relationships, how you spend your Saturday, should be evaluated against this single question: does this increase my ultimate currency? This reframes ambition completely. You can absolutely pursue money, success, achievement, but only if those things genuinely contribute to your happiness, not because society says they should. The person who ignores this and spends 30 years in a job they hate in exchange for money they can't enjoy has made a terrible investment. They traded the ultimate currency for something that was supposed to buy it and never did. The fourth core idea: goals must have meaning and pleasure. Ben-Shahar spent years studying why achieving goals doesn't make people happy. There's a famous psychology study. Lottery winners return to their baseline happiness level within 1 month of winning. Accident victims who became paraplegic returned to their baseline happiness level within 1 year. The goal wasn't the problem, the type of goal was. He introduces the idea of self-concordant goals, goals that come from who you actually are, not who you think you should be. Self-concordant goals. Feel intrinsically motivated. You'd pursue them even without external reward. Align with your personal values and authentic interests. Create engagement during the process, not just at the finish line. Still feel meaningful after you achieve them. Self-discordant goals, the trap. Chosen to impress others or meet external expectations. Feel like obligation. I should want this. The process is joyless. You're just surviving until the end. Empty when achieved. The relief lasts days. Then you need a new goal. The practical test. Ask yourself, if I was guaranteed to succeed and guaranteed that nobody would ever know about it, would I still want to pursue this goal? If yes, that's a self-concordant goal. If no, you're performing for an audience that doesn't actually control your happiness. Ben-Shahar also introduces the concept of throwing your backpack over the wall. Before you know how to achieve something, commit to it anyway. Write it down. Tell someone. The commitment creates the motivation to find a path. Edison announced he would demonstrate a working light bulb on December 31st, 1879, before he'd invented it. Kennedy announced America would land on the moon before the materials to do it existed. The goal came before the method. Real-life application. The theory is clean, but Ben-Shahar dedicates the second half of the book to 3 specific areas where most people are quietly losing their ultimate currency every day. Area 1. Education. He describes 2 models of learning. The drowning model. You're being held underwater. You hate it. You're desperate to surface. When you finally do, at the end of term, at graduation, the relief feels like happiness. But it's not happiness. It's the absence of pain. Most students are living the drowning model. The love-making model. Every part of the process, the research, the thinking, the writing, the discovery, has its own pleasure. The learning itself is the reward. The problem is that most educational systems condition children away from this. From age 6, the metric is the grade, not the love of learning. Ben-Shahar's point: you can reclaim this. The question isn't just, what should I study? It's, what do I actually find fascinating enough that I do it on a Saturday? Area 2. Work. He tells the story of a young lawyer in New York, apartment overlooking Central Park, brand new BMW, about to make partner, completely miserable. He wanted to work in an art gallery. Gallery jobs existed. He had the qualifications. But he'd made the income calculation and decided he couldn't afford happiness. Ben-Shahar's framework for finding meaningful work. Find the overlap of 3 things: what you're good at, what the world needs, what gives you pleasure and meaning. He's not naive about this. Not everyone can instantly quit and chase their passion. But everyone can ask, how do I gradually move toward more meaningful work? What am I tolerating that I don't have to tolerate? Area 3. Relationships. Research by positive psychologists Diener and Seligman found one consistent characteristic in the happiest people they studied: rich and satisfying social relationships. Not wealth, not fame, not achievement. Relationships. Ben-Shahar's key insight here is about unconditional love. He argues that true unconditional love isn't love without reason. It's love that includes the whole person. The achievements and the failures, the confident days and the broken ones. His mother told him after his championship win, "Your winning reflects who you are as a person." The external achievement revealed something internal. It didn't create it. Love the person who produces the achievements, not just the achievements. Mindset. How to actually live this. Happiness boosters. Not everyone can redesign their entire life tomorrow. Ben-Shahar acknowledges this. The practical tool he offers for people in difficult periods: happiness boosters. Small, regular activities, 30 minutes to 2 hours, that provide both pleasure and meaning. A single parent working a job they don't love to feed their kids, the weekly art class, the Saturday morning run, the Sunday call with a close friend. These are not luxuries. They are the fuel that makes the rest of the week survivable and even meaningful. One candle illuminates an entire dark room. You don't need a perfect life to be happy. You need enough light. Self-interest and helping others, not a contradiction. Ben-Shahar makes a point that surprises many people. Helping others is selfish, and that's completely fine. We help others because it makes us happy. It creates meaning. It produces positive emotion. Emerson said it. It is one of the beautiful compensations of this life that no man can sincerely try to help another without helping himself. You don't have to choose between self-interest and generosity. The happiest people in the research data are consistently also the most generous. Permission to be human. This chapter might be the most important in the book. Ben-Shahar says our culture has taught us to treat negative emotions as failure states. Sadness means something is wrong. Anxiety means you're not doing enough. Fear means you're weak. His counter: negative emotions are data. They tell you something real about your situation. The person who suppresses every negative emotion isn't strong. They've just disconnected from the signal system that tells them when something needs to change. Allowing yourself to feel, fully, without judgment, is itself a form of psychological health. And paradoxically, people who allow their negative emotions tend to experience more positive ones, because they're not spending energy on suppression. Slow down. Ben-Shahar spent years studying happiness, and then wrote a book about it. And in the process of writing the book, became unhappy, because he had too much to do. He references a study where women were asked to rate the enjoyment of different daily activities. The most surprising result? Many mothers rank time with their children lowest. Not because they don't love their children, but because they had no time. When everything competes for the same hour, nothing gets full presence. His prescription: do less, but do it fully. The ability to be present, actually present, is not a personality trait. It's a resource. And it gets depleted when you overload your schedule. Tal Ben-Shahar won the national championship. Sat alone in his room that night. Felt nothing. He spent the next 30 years figuring out why and what to do about it. The answer wasn't more achievement, more wealth, more recognition. The answer was simpler and harder at the same time. Find what gives you both pleasure and meaning. Build your life around that. Give yourself permission to feel everything along the way. That's it. That's the whole Harvard course. If this breakdown gave you something, subscribe. We do one of these every week. Drop in the comments, which of the 4 hamburger types have you been living as? Be honest. I'll be reading. See you next time.